afternoon. Okay, so let's start with a brief introduction. Please, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Danae. I'm the founder and CEO of Vala. We are an AI legal platform for consumer disputes, starting with employment law, expanding into things like tenancy and household. And it was super interesting, the story that Randall told earlier about how you can start one place, using AI to design new delivery models for health in his case, for law in my case. We've now expanded into finding that our very operating model and our services themselves and our technology are also products, as well as the products that we offer to our consumers themselves.
Thank you.
Super. Good afternoon, all. My name is Michael Tafula. I'm a principal and head of product at Ada Ventures. Ada Ventures is a pre-seed inclusive VC fund. We are focused on investing in talent, not just CVs and resumes. And actually, a story I love to tell is the founding of the firm and who we're named after. So we're named after Ada Lovelace, 19th century mathematician who actually wrote the world's first program. But she was massively overlooked over the course of history because she was a woman in the 19th century doing maths and science. But for us, it's a story that reminds us really to focus on the talent and capabilities of the individuals as opposed to where they went to school, where they worked, or whether they look like the stereotypical Silicon Valley, San Francisco tech entrepreneur. So yeah, we're a pre-seed investor, investing at the very earliest stages, mostly in the UK, but also across Denmark and some of the Nordics.
Such a nice story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we have both perspectives, founder and investor perspective, and it gives us some kind of excitement because you will share both views on the same topic. Let's start with a quick framing question, maybe a bit broad, but in one sentence, how is AI most significantly changing the fundraising process today? So from point of view of the founder and the investor, please.
From the founder, I would say it's supercharged and hyper-personalized fundraising. I think that's how AI is changing it.
It's hard to put it into one sentence. I mean, I should add, we actually invested in Danae's company, so we are an investor in the company, and we were using AI on both sides of the table. But I would completely agree. It's definitely supercharged the process, but it certainly hasn't taken away the human element. So the human judgment piece is still important. Meeting in person is still important. That hasn't gone away, but we can do things faster. We can do things more intelligently. We can personalize things, and that's been a game changer.
Let's start with a real example. In a recent funding round, during Vala's recent funding round, led by Ada Ventures, how did AI tools support your preparation? Meaning whether in tailoring investor outreach, refining your pitch, or building financial models?
I think I love being practical, so it's great to talk practicals. It's so different even from last summer when we started preparing our seed round to now when we're preparing our Series A. So last summer, I wanted to really understand who are the players in my area, who are the major investors, where is the center of gravity. And so I kind of hacked together with like 3 or 4 different data sources, this giant network map, and ChatGPT and I made our way through it to build this big map of co-investments and the investments in our space, which was so helpful for me to do my initial investor targeting. And I used a tool called Metal to do some of the initial research, which is an AI-enabled kind of founders fundraising tool, CRM style thing. Fast forward to the last few months, that network map, I recreated it for kind of an upcoming round, and it took a fraction of the time to do, and Claude took care of most of it for me. And the tool that I used, Metal, to do basic research the first time now has everything from call intelligence, tailored prep for each call, and kind of personalized discovery tools as well. So it is foundational to my workflow is probably the best way of putting it.
Great, thank you. Michael, from the investor lens, when evaluating Vala, to what extent did AI-generated materials influence your assessment? Can you share your experience?
Yeah, sure.
And also, please feel free to give an example of what.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll try maybe not to give away too much of the secret sauce, although actually a lot of this stuff is very commoditized and everyone has access to it. But we used AI in a number of different ways. And actually, we were also on the receiving end of Danae's code gen artifacts. One example being she prepared a really detailed strategy document on where she wanted to take the business. And that was an interactive web page. Now, of course, like the content, the underlying content really matters. So, quality, not slop. We don't want AI slop. You can tell AI slop from a mile away. But you had really good underlying content with just a very beautifully designed, intuitive, easy to use document, right, in a web page format. So we were able to use that in our investment committee process, and we could interact with it and flick through to different sections of that document. But then anytime we're doing diligence on a startup, right, we're using AI across the process. I'll give a very tangible example. We've got a pipeline of tools that do really thorough competitor research. So, when I started out in venture as an associate, one of the things you do as a junior investor is go to Google and try and research all the competitors of a startup. And you'd hope that after an hour or two, you would have something rather comprehensive. We now have a system that can do it in 3 minutes, and it's a lot more thorough than what a junior person would do, right? And we're using tools that are available to everyone, right? So one example is Exa AI, which is a AI native search engine. You can use that to find people, you can use it to find startups, you can use it to find companies, and you can use it as an API, so you don't need to pay a lot of money to get access to it. So we're using that alongside a number of other different agents to basically find all the possible competitors for a particular company, but then do a deep dive analysis of how the products are different. Are they serving the same ICP? Are they going after the same budget? Is the market fragmented or is it consolidating? So it goes through a number of other steps that maybe a junior person would not be able to do in that amount of time. And we could do that in 3 minutes. Now, of course, you still need the human element to assess it, because Danae will tell us, actually, you missed this company. Or actually, that's not really a competitor. So we have to take the best of the AI bits and then also actually marry it up with the human judgment element.
Yeah. Thank you. You gave a good introduction to my next question, because generally there is a moment when we cannot skip this human element. So at what moment is the most, let's say, the most important human element during the process of preparing for the fundraising or evaluating the company? Please, you're both, what do you think?
I think the tools help you get in the room. I think once you're in the room, that is where you are understanding each other. Like the classic example is, I remember I came to visit Czech, who is at Ada Ventures, and tell her about what we were up to, and I did this like insane, beautiful mind diagram of the entire legal market and how we were seeing it and where the value was flowing and all this kind of stuff. And it was incredibly human. Like I have subsequently produced beautiful versions of that much faster thanks to AI tools. But to work through with her and to really kind of sense make how we were understanding this market, where we saw the opportunity, where the explosive potential was, that was all in the room. I think the tools just helped me get into those rooms.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. It all happens in the room, right? These tools can now, everyone can have the same polish. Like it's incredibly easy to like have beautifully designed content. So you have to go a step further, right? Danae was talking about the personalization earlier. We get a lot of inbound from founders that's clearly AI generated. And VC is also guilty of this, right? I've got founders in the portfolio who have said, here's a message I've received from this fund, and it's completely commoditized. It's clearly a message that's been sent to 100 different investors without the personal touch that Danae was talking about. But I think once you get into the room, that's the piece that I'm doubtful AI will be able to get there. You can sit in a room with a couple of founders and you can watch their physiological reaction to an early question, right? How do they respond to a question? How do they make room for their co-founders to jump into the conversation? And founders have to be able to do the same thing. So Danae is assessing us as investors, like, does she trust us? Does she want to work with us? What sort of vibe does she get from the person sitting across the table? And you can't get that from AI at the moment. Maybe that will change and we'll have humanoids doing investor meetings and so forth. But at the moment, you have to get in the room and then work the magic both ways, both sides of the table.
Absolutely. Although I do think that the personalization is so interesting. Like, I don't know how you would feel about, like, this is the thing that I'm wrestling with at the moment. Like, I can now build for this next round, hyper-personalized dossiers, living dossiers of the investors that are the real ones that I would like to target, that shortlist. Like, how does that feel on the other side to know that, you know, I get an update every week about, you know, here's what Michael is looking at, here's where Michael is going. Like, how does that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, because I've kind of been AI. We're talking about being AI pilled. Mm-hmm. I love that. I think the thing is, like, you'd be surprised at how few founders actually go through that step of extra personalization. Same for investors. Like, I have to basically, I was going to say hard code. I don't automatically generate outbound messages if I'm trying to reach out to a founder. I'll do the work. I'll do the dossiers, and then try and craft something personalized for them. And we have egos. Like, we love it when someone says, "Oh, I read your blog post and you're writing about this," or "You saw something on X." And few founders do that, but actually, it's very impactful. And if you're doing a dossier on investors, I think that's a great way to actually personalize outreach.
There you go. I got my permission.
But to be honest, we used to do that even before AI. I remember I used to work for the Deputy Prime Minister. He went to the conference or to the summit or something like that, and he told us, find me the pictures, find me what he likes, and because of the meetings.
Yeah, and the beauty now
it does
agents can do it
usually
really quickly.
Shorten the time, make more process more efficient, and as you said,
supercharging.
Everyone loves when you research on them.
Has that backfired for you at any moment where you've actually done that and it actually hasn't?
No, I think because I know what job it's serving. It's to serve, to get into the room and to understand kind of how does this person see the world. It's like it can be done so badly. I'm sure you've been on the business end of that as well. I get it on LinkedIn a lot these days. It's like, I really enjoyed how you're thinking about the legal tech space. Like, can we connect? And you're like, okay, that's not what we're going for here.
Exactly. Okay, so beyond individual rounds, we talked about AI is also changing how investors operate more broadly. So Michael, from your point of view, and from a broader venture capital perspective, how is AI transforming deal sourcing and the way investors evaluate founding teams and technologies? Just shortly, your opinion.
Yeah, maybe I'll try and be super quick on it. I mean, first of all, like, using data and using AI in sourcing deals is not new. Sequoia sourced WhatsApp using an internal tool called Early Bird, which is tracking App Store downloads. There's countless other examples of investors using AI and data to source, select, and support portfolio companies. I think what's changed today is that those capabilities are more accessible, right? Previously, you'd have to have a team of engineers in-house to build proprietary tooling that could help you source and select and support companies. Today, because of Gen AI, you can have someone like me who's 80% investing, but then spending 10 to 20% of my time building software internally, and also actually building some tools for founders to use externally. So I think what's happened is the tooling is now very much commoditized. And in fact, you don't even have to build this stuff as an investor, right? You can buy platforms like Harmonic AI, Deal Rooms introducing AI features. There's a bunch of APIs that you can use relatively easily with Claude Code or Codex. The tools are far more accessible, but I think what that means is that the alpha is getting into the room, right, with the founders. So investors now, you can see more opportunities, but you've got to do a lot more work to court the founders to want to partner with you. So I guess a very long way of answering the question, which is, the tools have always been there. They're just more accessible now across lots of different investors. So every investor you meet now, you should know that they are using AI to research the hell out of you. They're using agents in the background to do research on your market. They will be a lot more switched on in terms of the competitive landscape, the underlying technology that you're using. There's just a lot more sophistication on that basis. I don't know if that's the experience you've had or...
Absolutely, and I think, so much of this is about supercharging or almost amplifying. I think that overall this technology just massively amplifies what is already there. So a great due diligence process in the past, for example, the founder knows that the investor is writing an IC paper, and the founder does everything they can to help them write that IC paper. And so that used to be I would kind of pre-draft information, and I would cite sources and things like that. Now, when I go into a new process, I will have the sources ready, I will have the PDFs ready for their system to ingest, to have the understanding of the market that I have, for example. So I think it's all about accelerating. The human part is knowing how the processes work, how people understand each other, how sales works, because essentially, from my perspective, a fundraising process ran well is a sales process ran well, but you can really lean into it so much more now. It's really fun.
Yes, and it creates a challenge that even the founders or even investors during the process, by using the AI, can lose the authenticity. Sorry. So, what's your thought about that?
I think it can certainly create this in the same way that I get those LinkedIn messages that are incredibly generic and poorly done. I think that it can create this kind of slop style thing, but I think when used well, it really accelerates authenticity. It makes you more of who you are. Like, I love that I can take a strategy meeting internally, the transcript of that meeting, plus the latest strategy documents, and I can then say, okay, how would Sequoia understand this versus how would Andreessen Horowitz understand this opportunity, given who is in their portfolio and the comparators that they frequently cite, or given how they have talked about my market in the public. It's much more about the different lenses that people view the world and how I present our company in that way, rather than trying. I think when used poorly, it will be, we can be anything you want. And that's the problem that all founders go through with fundraising. Until you learn that we are there to make the investors rich. Like, that is our jobs, and that is how the investors are thinking about it. Until then, you kind of go in with this mindset of like, I hope they like me. And I think the technology will amplify people with that mindset. But then if you're in the mindset of, how do I explain to them how I can make them rich, that is a very different tool.
Right, good point. Looking back to the recent round, the question for you, Dana. What is one thing that you would do differently, and what do you think, how might AI change that approach in the future?
Yeah, so this, I wouldn't change much about this round. I thought it was fast, fair, and exactly with the partner that I wanted. I think the thing that I'm very cognizant of going into new rounds is my AI SEO. And also, how do I, knowing that we're all using these tools, not even just the SEO, about there's myself, there's the company, and then there's the market. So how will the tools that investors use see those three things? And I need to figure out, if I can't control them, how at least do I mitigate, or how at least do I provide, like for example with the IC paper, augmented materials to kind of help them understand how I'm seeing the world. And also, I really like the push and pull of a fundraising process where they bring a perspective. That happened with Ada, where we started the round in one conversation and the entire business strategy shifted because of how they saw the market. So I think there is a lot of collaboration opportunity there. But I think the AI SEO and really understanding how these tools will present you and your market is going to be top of mind for me.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I guess the question being, how is it going to change?
Yeah, how AI will change, and would you change anything? How would you do it for the next?
I think it's always great. For example, with the founder's permission, we always record the first call, right, on Granola or whatever note taker that you have, and we also let the founders know, feel free to record the call, like take the content, use it in your AI system, and so forth. I think one thing we're trying to do more of is basically assess how we do in those first meetings, and then having an automated process of doing that. So, once we do a call with the founder, that gets fed into a system that then gives us feedback on how well we did on the call. Like, did we ask the right questions? Did we leave enough room for the founder to respond? Are there learnings from other calls we've had that can be pattern matched against that? So I think one thing we'd love to do more of is just systemize the feedback process on our side on how we can do better as investors. We'd love to do a lot more of that.
And we're doing the same thing on the founder side. It's tighter, faster loops. That metal platform that I described, that call intelligence, it comes back and says, we believe that you presented this well, we believe that this wasn't as strong, and sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't, depending on the call, but you're getting instant feedback, and that, historically, famously, feedback has been one of the things that has been, quite a tricky thing in the investment process. And we're now using these tools kind of almost able to kind of create a middle layer that provides feedback. And I think that's really helpful because it can be, I remember my first few pitches, I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't know what good looked like. It took a lot of pitches to learn what was actually landing. And if I'd had a few legs up, I think that would have really helped.
Great. Just short, because we're running out of time. What do you think, what skills will founders need? Maybe those who are just starting, who are preparing for the future.
I think know how to run a sales process. Before you even touch the AI tooling, know how to run a tight sales process. Then a fundraising process, which is just a specific type of sales process, and then layer the tooling on. I think this is the thing that I'm learning so much as we learn how to use these tools, is if you learn the foundational parts first, the processes first, and then you layer the tooling on top, you will go so much faster and you'll see so many more returns.
So exactly. Generally, AI tools are just the tools that will help us, but the basic skills we still need to learn and to achieve.
And now you can use AI to say, tell me about the 3 top sales processes that I need to learn. So it's so much easier.
Yeah, exactly. Just one last question and one quick takeaway from each of you. Can you just suggest one AI tool or capability that every founder should master when preparing to raise a capital?
You want to go first?
Yeah, so I think, back on the theme, which is sort of learning feedback. So we've built a tool that can help founders get feedback on their pitch deck. And of course, you can throw your pitch deck into ChatGPT and get responses. But we have a tool called deckgenius.ai. Submit your pitch deck, and you get feedback within 3 to 4 minutes. Really detailed, thorough, slide-by-slide feedback. And that can just help you battle test your pitch deck before you go to speak to investors. So definitely worth a try.
Yeah, I definitely Deck Genius. I think generally the stack that I use, I definitely think that there are tons. Metal's my favorite, but I know that there are excellent tools for founders that help with the process. I think if you really get skilled with, I use the Anthropic stack, so Claude, Cowork in particular, learn how to figure out how to make Cowork work for you. That's what I build my living dossiers with, for example, especially if you use Apify to connect to get the extra information that you need. It's just a complete game changer.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for a great discussion. It's clear that, as we said, AI is just a tool, but the basic fundamentals like trust, like clarity, strong relationships are still, let's say, more important than the tool that can help us succeed all of this. So please join me in thanking our panels.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.